The markets are closed, but the business stories are just heating up. Hello, I'm Mai Rodriguez. Catch up with us on Business Brief. Asian shares are mostly higher after Wall Street suffered its worst drop since May, dragged by weak U.S. jobs data. The latest report showed U.S. employers added just 73,000 jobs in July, far below economists' expectations. Japan's Nikkei 225 is down over 1%, while Australia's ASX is flat with a slight downtick. Other Asian markets are trading higher. In the currency markets, the U.S. dollar appreciates against the Japanese yen, while it is flat with a slight uptick against the Hong Kong dollar, but it depreciates against the Singapore dollar, South Korean won, and the Thai baht. The Australian dollar, on the other hand, appreciates against the greenback. In commodities, gold prices are up by nearly 0.3%, while oil markets are mixed. In the cryptocurrency space, Bitcoin is flat with a downward bias, while Ethereum is up by over 1%. President Bongbong Marcos is on his way to India for a 5-day state visit. This as the Indian Navy joined patrols in the West Philippine Sea. Ivy Reyes filed this report.
President Bongbong Marcos looked back on the long history of the Philippines-India diplomatic relations as he delivered his pre-departure address this morning at the Maharlika Presidential Hangar. According to PBBM, both countries agree on several aspects, including democratic ideals and respect for an international order. The president mentions the United Nations Convention of the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS, and said the Philippines and India have a shared interest in protecting our seafarers in regional maritime law. On August 1, the Indian Navy marked a historic naval cooperation with the Philippines as they joined a number of states holding joint maritime patrols in the West Philippine Sea. This follows the deployment of Indian warships at the port of Manila in late July and their dialogues with the Philippine Coast Guard come August 1. The president also emphasized key business opportunities in the pharmaceutical and telecommunication industry, among others.
Our two countries share several core interests, such as our democratic ideals, our respect for basic freedoms, and the preservation of a rules-based order in the international arena. Our geostrategic position as coastal states that border the busiest international trade routes and critical sea lanes of communications in the Indo-Pacific region, our shared interest in protecting the rights and welfare of our international seafarers, our steadfastness in upholding international maritime law, including the UNCLOS, and our unwavering commitment to regional peace and cooperation serve as a credible foundation of our active and growing maritime cooperation.
With India being the world's fourth largest economy, the president hopes for a productive state visit from August 4 to 8. He adds, the bilateral relationship between Manila and New Delhi is seeing a stable development. PBBM will go straight to some 200 Filipinos in New Delhi later today. The delegation took off aboard a presidential charter flight at exactly 10:44 this morning. And Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin, Agrarian Reform Secretary Conrado Estrella III, and Deputy Secretary Sani Angara are left to look after the palace while PBBM is away.
Ivy Reyes, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
Government debt payments fell to over 768 billion pesos in the first half of the year. Data from the Bureau of Treasury show this is significantly lower than the 1.28 trillion pesos recorded during the same period last year. Ateneo economist Leonardo Lanzona says the drop is likely a temporary blip rather than a lasting trend. While there's no immediate debt crisis, he flagged key concerns including debt outpacing economic growth and continued reliance on borrowings. There are also other factors, among them large bond issuances and an accelerating buildup of obligations. The United States' imposition of reciprocal tariffs against trading partners violates World Trade Organization rules. That's according to former Philippine Tariff Commissioner George Manzano. He explains that the tariffs go against the WTO's most favored nation principle, which requires non-discrimination among trading partners. The organization's dispute settlement mechanism, which could mediate this issue, is currently crippled due to the U.S. blocking appointments of judges. As a result, countries like China and Canada have challenged U.S. tariffs, claiming they're inconsistent with WTO rules. Meanwhile, local economists fear that Philippine exports to the U.S., which total $6.6 billion, could be hurt by new tariffs set to take effect this August 7. The Department of Agriculture is recommending higher tariffs on imported rice and a temporary halt to rice imports. Acting PCO Secretary Dave Gomez says the proposal will be among the topics discussed on the sidelines of President Marcos' state visit to India. Higher tariffs could lead to a price increase for imported rice, and this could make the price of local rice more competitive. Details on the tariff rate are still being finalized. The Social Welfare Department clarifies Senator Erwin Tulfo's call to scrap the 4Ps program might be focused on improving the aftercare component rather than abolishing it entirely. Speaking to BNC's Business 360, DSWD Secretary Rex Gatchalian said the department is in talks with Senator Tulfo to enhance the program, including providing micro-entrepreneurship support and post-4Ps assistance to help graduates avoid falling back into poverty.
I think what Senator Tulfo is talking about would be the aftercare program. We have to also start looking at when families graduate out of 4Ps, what do we do with them? We run the risk of them slipping back into poverty. We run the risk of them stagnating. So those were the things that we spoke about last week. We were looking at program enhancements like micro-entrepreneurship for 4Ps graduates.
Meantime, Gatchalian also clarified that staying in the 4Ps should depend on a family's economic condition, not an arbitrary 7-year limit. This following President Marcos' call to amend the 4Ps law to make exits more flexible and realistic, especially during economic shocks.
Sometimes you might be able to exit earlier than 7 years, and in some cases where there are unexpected crises that hits a family, then there might be some families that might need longer than 7 years.
The Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries and its allies, collectively known as OPEC+, will increase its oil output by 547,000 barrels per day next month. The group has been increasing output over concerns of possible supply disruptions linked to Russia. 8 OPEC+ members met virtually to tackle U.S. pressure on India to halt Russian oil purchases. Oil prices have remained high despite the group's efforts. The group will meet again on September 7. We're taking a short break. More business stories are up next. You're watching Business Brief. The government is backing the development of a new world-class container terminal in Bawan, Batangas, set to boost trade, jobs, and industry growth in Calabarzon. The Lison International Container Terminal is slated to be the second largest in the country by 2028. Transportation Secretary Vince Lison says the project could spur the rise of an industrial hub in the area, bringing factories and employment closer to local communities. Once operational, the port can handle up to 2 million shipping containers a year, easing pressure on Manila and Batangas ports.
And napaka-importante nito, gagong-gago na sa Calabarzon area. Kasi alam naman natin, itong Calabarzon, ito ang ating industrial capital, no, ng Pilipinas. Nandito lahat ng mga factory, marami sa mga factory natin nandito, marami sa mga manufacturing natin nandito. Kaya critical itong port na ito, no?
SM Prime Holdings Incorporated posts a net income of 24.5 billion pesos in the first half of the year. In a disclosure, the property giant said this marks an 11% increase from the 22.1 billion pesos it earned in the same period last year. The growth was driven by stronger rental income, higher real estate sales, and increased ancillary revenues. Semirara Mining and Power Corporation reports a net income of 4.1 billion pesos in the second quarter. In a disclosure, the integrated energy company said this is 33% lower from the 6.1 billion pesos it posted in the same period last year. The decline was attributed to the continued stabilization of coal and electricity prices. Before flying to India, President Bongbong Marcos led the estuary cleaning program of the MMDA in Pasig City over the weekend. The program aims to intensify efforts in unclogging Metro Manila's waterways. Its target is to clean nearly 24 estuaries that have been prioritized due to heavy siltation.
We are here because we are launching the program that is really led by MMDA on what we call the Bayanihan Estero program. And what that essentially means, lilinisin natin itong mga estero natin. That's why we have encouraged this, kasama natin ang DOLE, of course the DILG, all our local government officials, and all the political leaders. Kailangan natin magsama-sama, magkaisa at pagtulungan ito. Dahil alam naman natin, ang matinding usapan sa nakaraang ilang araw ay yung flood control projects. O sige, tinignan din natin yan. Kahit maganda na lahat ng flood control project natin, kapag ganito pa rin ang ating estero, wala rin, mababaha pa rin tayo.
We're taking a short break. A look at how Philippine stocks did today coming up next. You're watching Business Brief. U.S. President Donald Trump is set to name a replacement for Federal Reserve Governor Adriana Kugler and a new head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics in the coming days. This follows Kugler's early resignation from the Federal Reserve on Friday. Trump, a longtime critic of the central bank, also says he will appoint a new BLS chief within days. This comes after he fired Commissioner Erica McIntyre over alleged data manipulation, a claim he did not substantiate.
I have a couple of people in mind. I'll be announcing somebody for the filling of the person that left. A woman left, as you know, who is I guess a Biden appointment, either Biden or Obama, but I think a Biden appointment. And she left early, and I think she left because she agreed with me on interest rates, and yet they were on the other side of the ballpark, right? So I'll be announcing that probably over the next couple of days.
Synopsys, a U.S.-based chip designer, holds a 4-day summer camp in Taiwan for students. The program seeks to boost interest in semiconductor manufacturing among the youth. Chip companies and Taiwanese universities are conducting similar programs. There are concerns over whether the island can continue supplying talent to its semiconductor industry amid its rapidly declining birth rate. Job openings in Taiwan's semiconductor sector continue to rise.
I'm interested in robotics and some sort of tech things, so that's why I would like to understand what Taiwan is currently developing, and because semiconductors are a very key image of Taiwan, so I would like to understand more about that.
Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney is optimistic that trade talks with the U.S. will lead to a constructive outcome. He's expected to speak with U.S. President Donald Trump in the coming days. The U.S. imposed a 35% tariff on goods not covered by the U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade agreement.
we can give ourselves far more than anyone can take away. We're building this great country. I just met with the Premier, building BC, building Canada, building in a Canadian way. Building sustainably, building together, building positively, and that's what we're going to do. And yes, we will we'll come to something with the Americans, something constructive with the Americans. So this is the essence of Canada. It's to be who we want to be. It's to love whom we want to love. It's the freedom. It's the diversity. It's the pride. It's the celebration. It's what's great about our country, and I'm just thrilled to be part of it.
Philippine shares closed the first trading day of the week in positive territory. The PSE index ended higher by nearly 0.7% to close at 63.48, finishing the day as the fifth best performer in Asia. But the sectoral indices ended mixed, with property rising the most at nearly 3%. Holding firms fell the most at 0.5%. Advancers outpaced decliners at 100 to 91. Total value turnover reached 5.2 billion pesos. Majority of the day's most active stocks ended in the green, with DigiPlus rising the most at more than 8%. Meanwhile, the foreign exchange market, the peso, is currently trading at 57.59 against the greenback, appreciating from the previous close of 58.15. That's a wrap for today's Business Brief. I'm Mai Rodriguez. Join us again tomorrow as we bring you the stories that help you plan your next big, bold moves in business, only here on the Bilyonaryo News Channel. See you then.